How many of you have seen recent pictures from Beijing or New Delhi where the air is so polluted you cannot see across a narrow intersection or make out a tree from a flagpole? California used to have air that rivaled these images. In fact, the term photochemical smog was coined in Los Angeles, where urban sprawl and lots of people meant lots of driving. Cars in the 1960s belched out emissions in huge quantities, and the Los Angeles basin ever-present temperature inversion layer and ample sunshine trapped and cooked them into an ugly brown soup. But no more. In 1967, Ronald Reagan, governor of California, later President of the United States, signed the Mulford-Carroll Act that gave birth to the California Air Resource Board, or CARB. CARB has successfully cleared the air in California and has shown the other 49 states the way to clean air for over 50 years. If you live in one of those other 49 states, you are breathing easier and healthier because of CARB. Do you want CARB to go away? By Section 177 of the Federal Clean Air Act, California is the only state permitted to issue its own emission standards. Other states may choose to follow CARB or the more lenient federal standards, but they may not use their own. Not that every state needs or could even afford an agency with the powers of CARB. It is hard to imagine why anyone would want to alter this half-century-old successful arrangement. But sadly, some folks fear science, cower from the facts, ignore obvious evidence all around them, and attack scientists when presented with indisputable data because it is inconvenient to their unsustainable way of life. The Trump White House wants to eliminate CARB's progressive stewardship of our 50-state air. There's a little story about how CARB became so capable, and apparently to some, so feared. Governor Reagan appointed the Dutch chemist Arie Haagen-Smit as the first chairman of CARB. Haagen-Smit knew that a great way to motivate engineers is to tell them a task is impossible, when of course his experience told him it was possible with great effort. Tasked with the impossible, engineers will not only make it possible but eventually mundane. CARB's success has been in making the impossible the law, and then have that law come to reality. The other 49 states get to take advantage of the scientific study and engineering practically for free. Over its 50 years of existence, CARB's handiwork has been noticed by non-Californian entities. The Christian Science Monitor, whose stated goal is to embrace the human family, shedding light with the conviction that understanding the world's problems and possibilities moves us towards solutions. They wrote in their January 2001 edition, "California is leading the charge towards transportation that doesn't blanket society in foul-smelling brown haze." It was in 2018, though, that CARB drew the ire of the Trump administration with its aggressive goal to legislate zero-emission vehicles, or ZEVs. As Paul Wessler wrote in his December 2017 article for Automotive Engineering, already 9 states, Connecticut, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Vermont are on board. ZEVs are good for our lungs, but are inconvenient to some industries like petroleum production. The Trump administration fears that CARB will be wildly successful in making ZEVs commonplace in all 50 states. The California Air Resource Board should be allowed to continue to set emission standards for the state of California and the other 49 states allowed to follow suit, free from federal interference. Conceived in the gold rush state, founded on American ingenuity, first chaired by a Dutch immigrant, and signed into law by one of the greatest Republican presidents of our time, CARB is an all-American success story. Write your congressperson and tell them that you think clean air is important. clean air is not a political issue. Tell them there are plenty of conservative and progressive issues that should be fought, but clean air is not.